Hi everyone, I'm Bhavya, working as an Android engineer at Fueled. Today, I'm going to talk about how to write performant layouts in Android. So, with the ever increasing complexity of mobile applications, you would always want to avoid user reviews like this app is janky or it is too slow on my device. So, what causes this jank behavior? We are going to learn that now, how to diagnose the problem, and then finally, some tips on writing performant layouts to fix it. So, let's get started. Let's talk about how Android renders first and what happens behind the scenes. With the device, most devices have a refresh rate of 60 frames per second. So, vertical sync or vertical sync gets started by an Android OS class called Choreographer, which then triggers a lot of other processes. The UI threads get called upon, and all it runs all the pending inputs, all the pending animations, and finally the traversal phase, which is to measure the views, laying them out, and then drawing them on screen. Once this is done, the UI thread then syncs all the information to the render thread, which is responsible to process this information and execute the commands as native Android OS operations, and it finally converts them into OpenGL commands, gets the buffer from GPU and swaps the buffer, and the control moves to the graphics thread. The graphics system then does a process called compositing, which then finally renders the frame on screen. So all of this happens, and to do this within a refresh rate of 60 fps, we have approximately 16 milliseconds to render a single frame on screen. That's why an optimization of even 1 millisecond could be really helpful to avoid that janky behavior. Even if you are not convinced enough to go to your layouts and check them out, but I will guide you like how you can diagnose the problem so that you can check which layouts is causing the problem. So Android comes with a bunch of really amazing tools to help you diagnose which layouts is basically causing the jank. Let's discuss them one by one. The first one is the layout inspector, which helps you to get your layout hierarchy in the form of a tree, which helps you to avoid to identify like how what is the depth of your layout, and to avoid any nested parent view groups once you see them. Another amazing tool is Lint, which comes with a bunch of useful rules that can help you diagnose the layout issues and provide some useful fixes to fix the problem as well. Then there is Systrace. Systrace basically provides you with a graphical representation of all the processes in your application, so you can know what is happening behind the scenes. And with the graph, you can see which process is consuming more time. For layouts, we want to make sure that the draw, traversal, and measure phase is not exceeding the 16 millisecond time frame window. Android Profiler is one of the most amazing tools which comes bundled in with Android Studio. It also helps you identify what is happening in your app behind the scenes and what all processes are running. For optimizing layouts, we need to check the CPU usage in the Android Profiler, and there would be graph shown on screen. You need to look for the red frames in the graph. So those red frames are the ones that are causing the jank, or you'll know which layout is causing the jank, which would be identified by those red frames in the graph. So Android Profiler is very similar to Systrace, and you can collect traces in the profiler itself. The only difference being that Systrace is much more verbose and provides you with a lot of additional information, which might be overwhelming sometimes. So I personally prefer Android Profiler. Here is a screenshot from one of my applications where I used Android Profiler to monitor and capture a trace. As you can see below, there is a red frame which took more than 16 seconds, approximately 20 milliseconds to be precise. And on the right hand side, you can see a top down chart of all the processes that took place while this trace was captured. So you can see the traversal phase took more than the expected time, and that's why it caused a jank in my application. So this is how you can monitor or diagnose which layouts are causing the jank. Now we know what is causing the jank. We want to know why is it causing the jank, or why a layout is causing a janky behavior. So for that matter, let's see what happens when a layout gets laid on the screen. Whenever the system lays out a layout, it performs all the processes on its children as well. So if there are multiple children, they are also processed. If a layout is iterated multiple times for like really complex layouts, the multiple iterations cause a scenario known as double taxation. Usually the framework does everything really quickly and a single pass, but for complicated layouts the double taxation happens. And let's take a look at a couple of scenarios which you might have in your code that lead to double taxation. The first one being a linear layout with layout weight. It always needs to get measured twice, and another iteration leads to this double taxation. A grid layout usually is very fast and has a lot of pre-processing benefits, but once you add weights or fill gravity to a grid layout, it loses all those pre-processing benefits and leads to double taxation. A relative layout always require like more than one pass, at least two to the minimum, to process the layout, so it always leads to double taxation. Another thing that we usually do in our code bases is reusing layouts. Everyone loves to reuse them. They provide readability, which is great. Let's take a look at how we usually reuse layouts in our code. So this is a simple layout header where I have a text view in my header layout. Now, how do we use this in our code is something like this. In activity home, you can see I have included this layout using an include tag. So let's take a look at how compiler interprets it. Compiler removes that include tag and replaces it with the entire layout that we had for layout header that you included using the include tag. As you can see, now we have two nested constraint layouts here. So this next constraint layout is the extra $10 that you paid for your coffee. It's the cost, it's the extra cost that you have paid. Why do we need two cups when we just want to pour the coffee in a single one? So we can avoid this really easily, and let's take a look at how we can do this. Now comes the merge tag to our rescue. Now here what we have done is we just had the similar layout header and just replace the parent constraint layout with the merge tag. Now what merge tag does is when you include it in your activity using the include tag like we did earlier, nothing has changed here. Now let's see how compiler interprets it. As you can see, we have got rid of the nested constraint layout here. So with the merge tag, what it does is whenever we have a layout with a merge tag and include it in our activity, the compiler just takes all the contents inside the merge tag, all the views inside the merge tag, and places them directly inside the activity. So there is no that extra constraint layout that we earlier had, as we haven't included in our layout header optimized. So that's how we have saved those extra $10 for our coffee and just have a single constraint layout in our layouts. Another, let's do some more cost cutting. So sometimes the double taxation scenarios or the nested layouts are not just a fault of the way you wrote code, but could also be a limitation due to the parent layouts that you have been using. As a rule of thumb, I tend to use adopt these parent view groups depending on the need and follow these rules to choose a view group for my layout. So for complex layouts, it's always a good practice to use constraint layout instead of relative layouts or other parent view groups, or like nested linear layouts, which can cause double taxation scenario. For stacking elements vertically or horizontally, if it's just a very simple layout, you should always prefer a linear layout. Even linear layout would be even better than constraint layout for such simple scenarios where you are just stacking vertically or horizontally. If you are placing views on top of each other to create an overlay, go for a frame layout and avoid using linear layout at all times, because linear layout will always lead to double taxation. Even if you are not convinced enough to go back to your legacy code bases to remove all those linear layouts that have been lying somewhere in the medieval code, I would like to quote the developer documentation here, which states in the end release of Android, the constraint layouts provide similar functionality to relative layout, but at a significantly lower cost. So you might want to argue why the cost is very low for a constraint layout. So constraint layout is written from scratch, and there have been a lot of optimization algorithms that are run behind the scenes when we use a constraint layout in place of a relative layout. So go back to your old code bases and replace all the relative layouts one by one with a constraint layout if you really want to optimize your application, because like the system does all the optimizing and heavy lifting for you there behind the scenes. Some people are just fan of numbers. So here we have a graphical representation where I use the frame metrics API in one of the screens. One I drew with a traditional approach using relative layout and nested linear layouts. And the red bar graph that you see here is doing the same UI using a constraint layout, and we measured performance using the frame matrix API. As you can see, the constraint layout is 40% approximately 40% better than the traditional approach, and saved us like 40% of the time while the whole whole layout process. So it's like really good to use constraint layout. Now, there could be a scenario where you do not want the views immediately in your application. Like you have laid a screen and the user doesn't see that view right away when they see the screen, and you want to display the view in future based on user interaction. So a very good example could be a progress bar that we don't want to show right away and want to show on tap of a button or some action performed by the user. So we can delay so how do we usually do this is by including this progress layout in our fragments and then toggling the visibility like show loading using data binding and all that. But did you ever wonder that what if we can actually delay loading of this instead of just toggling visibility? So we can very easily do that using a view stub. A view stub is a very cheaper layout to inflate. It delays the loading of the initial layout unless you ask it to do so. View stub is very cheap to inflate and doesn't have any dimensions of its own and is inflated only when you ask it to. So we can delay loading of that progress layout using view stub. What do we need to change in our code to do that? Let's take a look at it. As you can see, we had an include layout and then we want to change it to a view stub. So this is the only piece of code that we want to change. We provide the inflated ID which would be used later to get the reference to the layout which is inflated using this view stub. And that's it. In your fragment, you can inflate the layout whenever required, whenever the user interacts with your screen, by calling the inflate method or by setting the visibility to visible. One key thing to note when using view stubs is that if you don't inflate it and you tend to reference the view before inflation, it will return null. And after you inflate the view, you need to reference the view inflated id and not the id of the view stub, because once the view stub is inflated, its reference would also return null. So make sure to do that to avoid any null pointer exceptions in your code. Now let's take a quick recap of what we have learned so far. First thing is to profile your code and look for red frames. Those red frames are the ones that are causing the jank in your application, and you can use Android Profiler and other tools as we discussed earlier to do that. Another thing is you can avoid using nesting using the merge tag. So replace all the nested layouts with the merge tag so that you don't have nested parent view groups. Keep your layout shallow and wide to avoid any double taxation scenarios. It's always a good practice. And use cheaper layouts like constraint layout. That's like a go-to thing to use in most of the complex layout examples. And you can delay the loading of views using view stub. Now, all good things do come at a price. So let's take a look at the drawbacks. So data binding support is not available out of the box for the merge tag. So you might end up writing a lot of custom adapters if you want to support data binding in the layouts that you included using the merge tag. So that could be a pain sometimes. Then constraint layout can be difficult to maintain with a lot of views. And for view stub, it's only suitable for certain use cases when you want delay loading of the views and you want to inflate them on user interaction, but it doesn't solve the use cases where you need them right away and do not want to delay their inflation. Now, over optimization, sometimes it is not worth the time. So I would suggest you optimize your layouts only when you see a problem, or like you follow these good practices in all the layouts that you would be writing starting today. But for the old applications with legacy code, the optimization could be really painful, and using Profiler and Systrace can be overwhelming sometimes. So again, profiling code is easier said than done. So that's it from my end. Any questions or queries? Okay, yeah, we have the first question. For stacking views on top of each other, it is preferable to use frame layout. But the question is compared to what view group? So, as I mentioned, like compared to any other view group, like that's what frame layout is meant for. it's it's why they created it. So I believe for if we are stacking them on top of each other, you can just use frame layout compared to any other view group like constraint layout, etc. What are the best practice to use custom views? Are they similar to the merge tag uh, to extend from when developing a custom view? So merge tag is available only in the XML, and there are certain other practices when it comes to custom views. Like you can avoid writing nested views, or there is a totally another level of optimization or different stuff when it comes to custom views. So you cannot extend merge tag while developing a custom view. How do you profile effectively when there are lots of nested function calls and views? So there is a frame matrix API available by the Android system. You can use that, and you can use profiler, or you can use systrace. There are trace functions, trace.start and trace.end, that you can place at start and end of those functions which you want to profile, and you can do active profiling using Android Profiler. A great talk. Thank you very much. Please make the slides available. Sure. How about using the overdraw debugger for Android dev settings? So overdrawing was an issue before Android N. It's no longer an issue. The GPU overdraw is no longer an issue on the latest devices, and it is mentioned in the dev docs as well, so you can check them out. And I don't think there is any need to optimize that. That would be just like over optimization at your part.